if we put our wise decision-making caps on, have to ask if that's worth it. It's beautiful.
Welcome to Take a Hike, where I take my favorite creators on hikes, pushing them to their limits and giving you a chance to get to know them a little bit more as well. And today, for our guest, we have Levi Allen, who is a documentary filmmaker, a podcaster, a teacher, a YouTuber, and he is also a big fan of umbrellas.
Matt,
good to see you here.
It is so good to be here. I'm so excited.
Me too. I've been wanting to have you on Take a Hike for so long, and now it's a reality.
You were telling me the vision of this show, and I was like, that's a good show. I would watch that. And now to be here on it, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, I'm so stoked. So there's just the one rule.
The one rule.
So if I ask you anything, or we're going somewhere that you don't want to go, you just tell me to take a hike.
Take a hike. I love that rule. That's a great rule.
Thanks. So starting off with the first kind of question. Do you want to go barefoot for this hike?
So I'm thinking about risk management, and I have very little skill set of walking barefoot on hikes. So I figure at the start, I'm going to stick with what I know.
Yeah.
I got some strap-on sandals. That's what I'm going to start with, but they're light enough that if I'm feeling inspired or that it's holding me back, I'm going to hold them.
Easy switch.
Yeah, so I'm starting sandals on because I'm a little paranoid of like cutting my foot on rocks.
Totally.
I don't know, but that might change throughout. We'll find out.
Okay. I guess without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's go for a hike.
Awesome. The water's a little bit higher than usual.
We got the rain coming down. Hey, you promised me no rain the whole time I was here.
I've already failed at that. Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Because it's super slippery. Super graceful. Super graceful. One down. You did that better than I did. Holy frick. First question, easy one. Who are you, and kind of what do you do?
Isn't who are you like one of life's biggest questions?
Yeah.
I could go so existential on it.
Yeah.
I'm a creator from Canada. And what was the second question? What do you do?
Yeah.
I think of myself as a maker. I love making things.
Yeah.
Like if a day came where I no longer did the video thing, I would imagine some aspect of what I would always be participating in is adding elements together to make something.
Yeah.
So what do? I make videos currently, but I see myself less as like an artist and more of just someone who's curious and likes building from that space, but then also exploring through that.
Speaking of that,
Yeah.
what was the job that you had before you went into kind of like a full-time maker?
The main job I had through high school was building bikes and working in a bike shop. So bikes was also kind of the gateway of the first subject matter that I spent a lot of time filming. It's probably a pretty intense phase. Like there's a decision where you go, I want to learn that video thing. And the subject matter that I practiced with was the one that was closest to me, which was biking, because I biked.
Yeah.
And I think younger me always thought I wanted to go pro in some sport.
Yeah.
And then I like saw clips of me doing the sports, and it's like that classic thing where the way you look when you do it, and then seeing my like lanky body look so inefficient when I'm snowboarding or biking, I'm like, oh, I'm not destined to do this as an athlete at all. I'm not an athlete, but I was around people that were really good. So then I feel like, there's a phrase like, what do you call a person who's friends with a bunch of musicians? A drummer? I feel that way about filmmaking, where what do you call someone who tags around a bunch of athletes? An adventure filmmaker?
Yeah.
Because I always loved and was curious about those worlds, but I couldn't do them myself very well.
Okay, you're gonna find this out throughout this entire thing. I'm so bad at transitions.
Great, I love it.
So let's keep going. I'm also just like a hands guy. Like I need my hands for support.
Do you ever use trekking poles?
No. No,
I used to think that was something that only old people did.
Yeah, and then you used it and it changed your life.
When you keep wearing like 70-pound backpacks with filmmaking and your knees are like so sore for weeks and weeks afterwards from carrying a way too heavy load down, I've just decided trekking poles are the best thing in the world.
Heck yeah. Dude, you've been killing this. I feel like I'm like on all fours and you're just walking. Yep. I'm supposed to be showing you up. You're not supposed to be showing me up. Okay, welcome to the bamboo forest.
Whoa.
What do you think separates you or sets you apart from all the other creators?
I think that's an intangible thing to declare about yourself.
Sure.
But I know that when I have conversations with other people who make videos and they're wrestling, they're like, I don't know what's unique about my own voice. Because I think that's something that gets said a lot. You got to find your voice.
Yep.
And that stressed me out because I didn't know what it was. And I think it's Ali Abdal. He's a YouTube coach and he has a great channel. And he talks to people about being an architect or an archaeologist. And I love this framing because an archaeologist is like searching for it and doesn't know what they're gonna find. They might have an idea. And an architect designs ahead of time. So I used to be really stressed that a lot of the cornerstone advice was, oh, you need to know what kind of audience you want to serve going into it, or you need to know what kind of things you want to make. I'm like, but I don't know. And so for me, when I stand still and I'm not doing any forward momentum, or I'm just like in my head, not making, staying still, it's very hard for me to envision what to do. But if I can start taking steps forward, that's where I start to like uncover. So for me, I've always stressed like, what's my voice? I don't know. But I have to believe the other people that I talk to who will also wrestle with that, I can see so clearly, like my friend Jesse. He's just like, he can be so down on himself about how to make his version of a video. But I'm like, Jesse, the way you make videos is amazing. Yeah. Like I can't make videos the way you do, and it's a magic trick every time. The way you do it, it's dysfunctional, but I love it. And so if that's so clear to me looking at Jesse, and if Jesse's not making from a place of trying to replicate or carbon copy someone else, if I myself live that out of not trying to like identically copy other people, the mosaic of things that I consume when I'm in my place of trying to make something, I just have to trust that if I'm not creating from a place of I just have to trust that the things I make have me in them if I care about them. Yeah. And so if I make things I don't care about, the likelihood of what I make being like set apart from other people's is probably less likely. It'll just be more noise. So I don't know what sets me apart, but I am hoping that if I try to put pieces of me into things I care about, and I use this thing called Stephen Pressfield. He talks about resistance and fear, and he says use the things that you're most fearful of failing at as your compass. That maybe that's the thing you should do. Yep. And so I resonate so deeply with that, like the things that I'm terrified of, because like what's worse, to succeed at something you don't care about at all? Like that's terrifying to me. So things that I'm most nervous that I'm going to do a terrible job at, or that I care so deeply about doing well, those are the kinds of things that I try to invest a portion of myself into. But you can't do that for everything. Yeah. And as a person who loves being intense about things, that is like such a struggle of throttling back and forth the things that don't deserve all of you. But I know without a doubt there's things in my track record of making that I've put myself into. Yeah. And so I'm hoping when someone sees those, they go, oh, hey, that's got a little Levi in it. And I don't know what those qualities are, but I hope other people could see them.
Yeah.
Segue.
I'll let you take a sip. But we still have a ton of rivers to cross. Mm-hmm. We got a bamboo forest to walk through.
This is stunning.
I know, right?
You know what I should have been doing this whole time, Matt? Whew, good catch. I got to make a small doc about food on Haida Gwaii up in Canada, an island.
Sick. Yeah.
And that's, as a kid, I got in trouble a lot from just like being nosy. I guess that's the way to put it, just like asking too many questions.
Me too.
And so
Yeah.
that is one of the things that I realized pretty quickly. When you have a camera, it gives you like an all-access pass, or like a reason for why you're asking questions.
Yeah.
I think that's why I gravitated towards like doc as a subject matter. Is like, if there's just someone interesting you meet, you can find a reason to make a video with them.
Yeah.
And then that gets you just like so much cool life experience just being with them.
Yeah.
And I guess like to circle back on you were asking about like what do you want to leave other people with? What was that question?
Yeah, like what do you want to leave behind?
I think,
What do you want to be known for?
especially lately, I've just been realizing how limited my lived experience is. So that's why I appreciate cameras, because they get me access to interesting people.
Yeah.
But then also I have to acknowledge the way that I tell a story is dictated by the experiences that I have. And so it's limited, very limited. So if I can help I'm also like ridiculously optimistic. So if I can convince someone else to try, who's self-doubting or doesn't believe their voice matters, that is such a win. Because I think, if we all try to tell the same story, we would have told it differently. And so we need those other voices.
Yeah.
Like now more than ever, we need more voices telling stories, because stories, like it's so cliche, but end up like dictating so much about what we believe about everything.
Yeah.
And so if my way of telling it is a certain way, I want to get someone else excited about doing their version of it, because I want to see that version.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love it.
I don't know.
So there's this one segment of Take a Hike that people just always ask for.
Yes.
I get faxes, emails, phone calls. It's the quick hitter hiking heaters. So
Quick hitter hiking heaters.
Dude, that was great. Yeah.
Whoa.
So I'll ask you 10 questions.
Yeah.
And you have to answer them
Fast.
as fast as you possibly can, no thinking, just like right into it.
Can I answer before the question's asked?
Sure. Yeah, we'll make it interesting. Favorite color?
Orange.
Favorite band or artist?
Under Oath.
Favorite food?
Steak.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
How many hours of sleep do you get on average?
8.
Favorite camera?
Phone.
Favorite YouTuber?
Casey Neistat.
Biggest fear?
Failure.
Does God exist?
Yes.
If he does, what's the first thing you say to him? Or I guess, what's the first thing you say to him?
Hello.
Okay, awesome. That was great. I didn't expect that. Sweet. Awesome. You survived.
I made it.
You did it.
That was intense. Oh, wow.
Dude, wait till you... But we'll have to get up there in order to see if we can actually cross that water.
Yeah.
But, like, it is flowing. What do you think? Doable?
I mean, it is doable, but it's also, it's in that territory of like
Super sketch if you
super high
fall.
consequence. The whole path has water on it, and then we have to reach and grab the rope. And there's a point of commitment with this much water to reach and grab the rope that if we put our wise decision-making caps on, we have to ask if that's worth it. It's beautiful, but there's no way there's not a risk of slipping right here, and then you got to make a jump. I'm okay if we take a hike.
Me too. Me too. I think it's sad, but
There's a lot of water moving there. I celebrate a victory. A turnaround decision to me is always a victory, because it's like you had a concern, and that's great.
yeah. Yeah. So I guess with that being said, we're not going past this waterfall to get to the
You
next
mean
one.
the super slick cliff climb through heavy rain, 4 times as much water we shouldn't proceed through?
Yeah, that's probably the wise decision. But what's cool is that this leads to another waterfall a little bit downstream that we can go check out, and kind of we'll end the episode there.
Even just the power of being at the base of this is just awesome.
Yeah,
Like water is incredible.
Mind-boggling.
Love water.
Yeah. Okay, let's get there.
I'm excited to see another waterfall.
Usually more of a trickle.
And I also don't like...
What would you say your biggest failure is? And maybe
Yeah.
you can either talk about filmmaking or life in general, you know, whatever you want to say.
With video and storytelling, I think when we were first picking up cameras for the first time, at least for me, I'm very visual, hence a visual medium for storytelling. But I had like images in my head that I wanted to capture, and one of those was my Opa is always someone that I looked up to because he built stuff with his hands. And my dad would tell me these stories, like showing me photos and books of like log cabins that my Opa had built. And I share a birthday with my Opa. And so I always felt kind of like this special connection as the youngest in my family for 7 years. I was like, I feel connected with Opa more than my siblings, and I want to build things like my Opa. And so when I was getting into video, I was thinking, wow, I want to film my Opa build something. And then I fell into this trap of, oh, but like I need to get one of those lenses that lets me get like a cool blurry shot of the wood shavings.
Yeah.
And then I got the lens and I was like, yeah, but then I need a camera that can do slow motion. And for me, life was happening so slowly because I was young. But next thing you know, my Opa passed away and I never filmed him do anything ever. And that is just like a massive disappointment that I let my desire to like improve the craft prevent me from doing the craft.
Yeah.
Because now my kids, like I'd love nothing more than to have any video clip of my Opa doing anything, and I don't have it. So as far as like biggest failure, that is something that I have to, because I used to think it was possible to do life without regrets.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like some of the voices at the time I listened to as a teenager was like no regrets. Like if you have regrets, like you're a coward and you're like doing it wrong. And then now I'm stuck with this profound regret that I never filmed him and I can't fix that.
Yeah.
And so now I'm stuck with that. So I'm trying to like harness that now to my future decisions, but I can't get past the hurt of that hurt is now always there, and I'm disappointed about that, and I feel regret, and I wish I had done something different. And that's a weird position to be in.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was possible to live life without like wanting to redo something, because like it all informs you and it all teaches you, but
Yeah.
I'm still grappling with that now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so tough. That's really. Thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there? I mean, you were touching on it a little bit. Like, is there ways that you're now approaching things because of that?
I'm still in it, so I haven't like had a defined takeaway yet.
Yeah.
But it's more so changing even my relationship with myself, where I thought I would always have time to do the things that I choose to do, and then one of the key things that I wanted to do, I didn't. And that's the first time in my life I've been confronted with that.
Yeah.
And obviously death brings that as well, and losing family members, but like that's the first time I've had to grapple with that, and that's I'm still in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tough.
I'm also hopeful that then that informs everything I make in the future, but it doesn't remove the fact that I'm profoundly disappointed in my...
Yeah, it doesn't take away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. Well, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that.
Waterfalls just down over there.
It's a good segue.
Let's go to it. I'm excited to see it. Thumbnail.
Heck yeah. So before we jump in the water
Go for a swim.
and go for a swim, yeah, I thought we could do a couple more questions.
Yeah.
End it off. You have absolutely crushed this hike. You killed it. It's been so fun having you on this. I'm disappointed we couldn't go to the very top,
Yeah.
but at least we get like a decent kind of second place waterfall here.
I'm just marveled by all the roots and trees. It's like,
Yeah,
it's wonderful terrain.
totally. And kind of speaking of the terrain, maybe of YouTube, what do you think has been kind of a couple of the biggest factors that have allowed you to get to where you are right now?
I think for me, I use YouTube as like a playground, as a sandbox. And so I think the viewers that have stuck with me throughout the years, because I've been creating for 11 years on this channel now, I think they sense some of that excitement from me. And so they don't watch everything I make, but they appreciate that I'm willing to just try things.
Yeah.
And so for me, I've never tried to put too much pressure that the videos have to be my full-time income, be what makes me happy. Like, my wife and I will do these things, we call them focus retreats, where a handful of times a year we'll like book a cabin with a fireplace. And we haven't done it with kids yet, and in the era of the pandemic, we just haven't gotten out away into a cabin, but we're due for one. Yeah. And one of the questions that I always ask, like myself, and also open up to my wife, is like, hey, should we just like step away from this? And I think the straddling that not need to do it, because creating is also an addiction, one that you can harness for good, like the dopamine hit of hitting upload feels amazing. Like, I highly recommend it. It feels so good. It's so much better than like wondering what it would feel like.
Yeah.
To actually feel that feels great. So it's addicting, but the ability to be okay where you're putting yourself into the things you make, but you being the YouTuber is not the identity only. Yeah. So for me, like, if I had to hit delete on the channel, life would not end. Like, I could keep going, and that would be okay. And so, in some sense, I've taken the long way route to like building a channel over time. Like, I shouldn't be giving advice on how to build a channel, because people build it much quicker than I and make it larger and do better things with it. But for me, where like YouTube's just kind of a part of like my experience of life, allowing myself the freedom to just explore and try things without the fear of how they do, that has been my favorite part. And I hope that the audience who's stuck with me, they also appreciate that like give and take.
Yeah.
Where like I'll just try things.
So I know that you said you don't want to give advice on how to build a channel.
Right.
But even just like if somebody wanted to know what they could do to maybe get to where you are, they look up to you.
Right.
That's why they're watching this video. Would you just say do the things that you've done, or would you say something completely different? Like, how would you tackle that?
I don't know if I would venture to say like the most important thing, because that seems hard.
Sure.
But I think finding your own lane is really helpful. And it's also very dangerous to assume that like you shouldn't enter a space because people are already there.
Yeah.
Because there's this self-conversation you have with yourself, like, oh no, like if I enter the mountain biking world with video, the people who are already there are going to judge me. And so that's not everyone's experience, but that can be a conversation you have with yourself of like, the people already in those spaces, I'm too late to join, and they're going to be critical of me joining with them. And I will say, like, my experience has been anything but that, where like joining in with people, they've welcomed me as a fellow like person attempting to do it. Yeah. Way more than I expected.
Yeah.
And then also conversely, not to be like on a pedestal, but like the other people that I now look down on who are trying to start, I'm so proud that they're starting. Like, I don't judge it at all. There's a classic Benjamin Franklin quote of the man in the arena. Yeah. And I think transitioning from a consumer only to creator is a very hard jump to like, especially if you like bear that as like, I'm gonna do this now.
Yeah.
Because if you say I'm gonna do this now, your friends and family are like, wait, you're actually trying? And that means you care. And that's like, well, you care? You think other people should care about what you make? That's a weird thing to navigate. But actually showing up and doing it is really powerful. And the community of others who are doing that get it. And you'll find people who will welcome you in that. Yeah. And it's not like you need to look at your icons or your heroes and go, please welcome me in and take me with you. But like, look at your peers that are also just about to take that step and cherish those in your, like in that crew, the people who are with you as you take the first step in. Because like you can go places together and that's so special.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Very well said. With everything you've all said. Thank you so much for or coming on here for doing a Take a Hike. The pleasure was all mine. If for whatever reason you are not subscribed to Levi, make sure to go check out his channel and subscribe to him. He creates incredible content, has been very influential in everything that I've been doing. So this is just like a treat and a half to be able to do this with you. So thank you so much.
What I love about this is like you taking people into spaces that you love, is that I think that invitation component is so special to like not just find things that you enjoy, but I am so grateful that that you brought me here and now I get to experience this. So like I love that invitation layer to a format like this, because it's you have the access, and then to bring another person is like, hey, that's pretty special.
Yeah, it's my favorite part.
It's awesome.
I love it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, for watching. Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and do all of that good stuff. It really does help and make a difference. And I'll see you in the next video. You ready to jump in?